I've said as part of my vision for an open and inclusive union, I would answer your questions. So here we go. I've had a question from a member in Haringey. What changes would you support to ensure conference decisions are representative of all members? For those of you who don't know, conference is the supreme decision-making body of the union. It's where members debate motions that decide our strategy and policy direction. I believe it is vitally important that every district delegation to conference is full, and as far as possible, that delegation reflects the demographic of the workforce. That's good for democracy, but it's also good for accountability. As General Secretary, I will ensure conference is a safe place for debate, for opposing sides of an issue to discuss motions impacting on the profession and to come to a democratic conclusion. I will actively support districts who encourage the wider participation of those underrepresented groups of members. I'll make sure that conference has a culture that is more accessible to a wider range of members. We need to address the perception of a late night drinking culture. Now, I loved the activist zone last year and I would like to expand this. It's good for talent spotting, it's good for sharing good practice, and it gives members who might not have the confidence to speak in the conference hall a voice. As General Secretary, I want to start a project where we invite student members to be observers. Conferences are such learning opportunities, and if we engage more new professionals in trade union activism early, we will ensure our conference decisions represent all members. That brings me on to another set of questions about the progress of conference motions. Now, some of these questions were quite specific, so I will respond to you individually about those motions. At the end of conference last year, we had about 500 actions to initiate. I think we need to develop different ways to communicate with members about the progress of these issues. We should be letting districts know what progress we've made on their motions. Now, they are published in the executive report, but if people are asking about the progress of motions, that communication clearly isn't working. It's easier for some than others. We can easily affiliate to organisations or reaffirm a commitment to work with a group, but others are more complex and they can take years. This year we've rightly concentrated on the pay campaign, but that doesn't mean that we aren't also progressing on other areas of work. As General Secretary, I will lead the campaign to ensure that the next government are committed to negotiating a national contract. They're committed to reversing deregulation and committed to reintroduce pay portability, and that will improve the conditions for all members, including supply teachers. Now that brings me to Rob's question, how can I be sure you wouldn't just cosy up with Bridget Phillipson and Keir Starmer? Now, as General Secretary, it would be my job to advocate for my members. It would be my job to negotiate with the government of the day. Now, Labour talks about being the government in waiting, but they need to demonstrate much more to me and our members that they are taking the crisis in education seriously and that they have real plans for investment in our buildings, in our profession and in children's education. It isn't enough for Bridget Phillipson to be now saying that Ofsted needs a shake-up. It's a toxic brand, it drives workload, it labels schools and it doesn't improve education. Labour need to put more concrete positions on the table, and if they don't ensure that local democracy is at the heart of school governance or introduce ideas that further embed privatisation in our system, I will oppose them. I've had a lot of questions about the process of voting. Do I have to vote for the candidate nominated by my district? No, that's just a guide. This election is one member, one vote. Read the election information and decide who you want to vote for. But to find out more about me and my vision for the NEU, check out niamhsweeney.online or my social media. What is important is that as many members as possible are involved in this democratic decision. That's all for now. Keep the questions coming in and I'll answer more of them over the weekend. Take care.